constantly running on stress, always chasing your to-do list and being productive, and always feeling like your day is never long enough to get everything done. If that's the case, you might actually be addicted to stress and cortisol. Welcome back to this video series where we're diving deep into stress addiction, what it is, the signs and symptoms, and most importantly, how to break free from it for good. This is the last part of a 3-part series right on this channel. So check out the previous 2 videos if you want to catch up first. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Kayo. I'm a certified nutritionist and health coach specializing on chronic stress symptoms and burnout prevention. In the first 2 videos, I shared my personal experience with stress addiction and broke down what stress actually is, how the stress response works, the role of cortisol, and why we can get hooked on stress. We also covered all the physical, mental, and behavioral signs of stress addiction, so you know exactly how to spot if you're addicted to stress and cortisol. And today, in this last part of the series, I will give you an actionable 8-step plan on how to break free from stress and cortisol addiction, reset your cortisol levels, and get your body and mind back to a chill, balanced state. So stick around because I promise this will change your life. Step number 1 is a self-assessment. This is to identify your stress triggers and patterns. So to begin with, you're going to track your stress levels for 1 to 2 weeks. So ask yourself, when do I feel the most stressed? And what situations trigger that? Then we want to notice any patterns. Like, do you thrive on deadlines? Or do you feel restless when things are too easy? Be brutally honest here. We want to know whether you feel alive in chaos and kind of lost when it's calm. Then we also want to figure out why you feel so hooked on stress. This is because some of us actually use stress to avoid some deeper emotions, whether that is grief, loneliness, or even boredom, while others just grew up in an environment or culture where being busy equals success. Some questions for you would be, do I feel guilty when I relax? Do I constantly take on more than I can handle? Do I reach for caffeine or sugar to keep myself going? The point of this first step is to gain awareness, because without awareness, we won't be able to move forward. Step number 2 is working on your mindset. I've said this many times before on this channel, but change starts in your mind. You have to shift your mindset first in order to see significant change. You need to acknowledge that chronic stress is not a badge of honor. So what we want to do is replace that hassle equals worthiness mindset with sustainable energy equals true success. To me, positive affirmations are a game changer when it comes to shifting my mindset for anything, really. I'm sure there are tons of positive affirmations out there specifically for this, but really you want to repeat affirmations to yourself along the lines of, I achieve more when I'm at peace, not in panic. Step number 3 is then to regulate your nervous system. To overcome stress addiction, it is crucial to move from your fight or flight, aka the sympathetic nervous system, into the rest and digest mode, aka the parasympathetic nervous system. And you have to do this daily, especially at the beginning when you're really trying to reset your stress and cortisol levels. So for example, in the morning, you could start with some deep breathing. So for like 5 to 10 minutes, do something like box breathing or the 5-7-8 breath. Techniques that I've actually explained in much more detail in a video that I'm going to link up here. Then for a midday reset, you could go for a walk, you could stretch, you could do a body scan, anything that gives you those mindful breaks and pauses throughout the day. I also want you to know that meditation, yoga, deep breathing, and all of that is not just for those Zen people. Science shows repeatedly that they actually lower your cortisol and rewire your brain to handle stress better. So definitely incorporate them into your day. Even if it's just 5 minutes, it's going to make a huge difference. And then in the evening, we want to have a strict no stress after 7 p.m. rule. So switch off your phones, don't go on social media, don't look at news, don't get overloaded with notifications and messages, and instead listen to music, journal, listen to an audiobook, do something creative or fun, relaxing that doesn't involve screens. I also quickly want to touch on exercise because I'm sure that you all heard that exercise is great for stress. And while yes, of course that's true, not every exercise is created equal when it comes to cortisol. Too much high intensity interval training, for example, or really heavy lifting or extreme cardio can all actually spike your stress hormones even more. So instead, we want to focus on low impact strength training, maybe some Pilates, yoga, and remember, more is not always better. And while you work out, you really want to focus on your breathing, and make sure that you don't hold your breath while you work out. And for more tips on how to regulate your nervous system properly and lower stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, then I will link 2 videos up here, one for my top 15 nervous system regulation hacks, as well as 6 daily habits that saved my mental health. Step number 4 is to balance your blood sugar and nourish your body properly. Now, how do we eat to reduce those cortisol spikes? It always starts with breakfast, so we want to avoid skipping breakfast at all costs. And for that first meal, we want to opt for something really rich in proteins and healthy fats. For example, some eggs with avocados. This will prevent any blood sugar crashes later on. Then we also want to avoid any caffeine on an empty stomach. So always have the coffee after you've eaten. Also avoid any high sugar and high caffeine mornings, and maybe even consider magnesium and adaptogens like ashwagandha and holy basil to really help with that excess cortisol. But if you want to know the exact foods and nutrients that you should eat more of to lower your stress and your cortisol levels, then I'm going to link this video up here where I'm diving deep into all the cortisol balancing foods. And for that pro tip, if you are craving stress, you're very likely to also crave those sugary foods, caffeine, and drama. And so what we want to do is really replace those with stability. So nourishing, balanced meals, stable routines, and calming activities. Now, if you've learned something new so far, please give this video a thumbs up so YouTube can suggest it to other people that may benefit from this. And if you've learned 2 new things by the end of this video, please consider subscribing because it really helps me grow and allows me to create content like this for you for free. Step number 5 is to rewire your dopamine system. What we're trying to do here is replace those stress highs with healthy dopamine, because chronic stress tricks your brain into seeking cortisol spikes for stimulation. So replace this by finding new highs that don't wreck your body. For example, strength training, which naturally boosts your dopamine, dancing, hiking, or any movement that you really enjoy. Even cold exposure can work because it activates your norepinephrine, which reduces your stress addiction, or doing deep work in a flow state. So instead of working in your fight or flight mode, you do something where you reach your flow state and do that as your deep work without distractions. And we want to do all of this instead of those fake stress hits, like gossiping, doom scrolling, multitasking, and late night work sprints just for the rush. Then step number 6 is to set boundaries. So we want to get away from feeding into the stress loop. And we can do that by having more structure to our schedule. So for example, it really helps to block out some deep work phases, where you have those short time windows, maybe 60 to 90 minutes, where you do some really intense deep work. No distractions, but after that, you allow yourself, even force yourself to take a break. This really pulls us out of this always busy mode. We also want to protect our mornings. So have a nourishing, satisfying, and fulfilling morning routine that involves no phones and screens for the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking up. And if you want to see how you can create such a morning routine, I'm going to link you this video up here with all the things and tricks that I do in the morning. And lastly, we want to start to say no without guilt. Trust me, your peace and well-being is worth so much more than your commitment. And you have to remember that you don't have to be exhausted in order to be successful. Step number 7 is to commit to rest and recovery, which is absolutely essential. Poor sleep equals high cortisol, and high cortisol equals poor sleep. Vicious cycle. So prioritize quality sleep and true rest. We want to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. We want quality over quantity, which means no screen 1 hour before going to bed, because that emitted blue light spikes our cortisol. You can try sleeping naked. Yes, you heard me right, because it helps regulate your body temperature. We want to make the room pitch black because our sleep hormone melatonin hates light, and we want to embrace some boring time before bed. So give yourself 30 minutes for unscheduled time to just be. And then stick to that bedtime routine consistently, because your body and brain love consistency. And if you want to know the ideal bedtime routine backed by science, then you can check out this video next. And lastly, step number 8 is to track your progress and get accountability. For example, you can have a stress journal where you journal every single day, reflecting on your stress. How did I handle the stress today? You can rate your stress levels from a scale from 1 to 10, and you can get a coach, mentor, or friend to help you accountable. Any kind of accountability and support can really help you pull through with it and not fall back into those stress addiction habits. And I know it all too well that when you feel this stressed out, it feels like you just want to cancel all social obligations and just barricade yourself in and laser focus on some work and be productive just to get everything done. But please do me the favor and do the opposite and also allow some time with some friends and other people. It is so important that you surround yourself with some calming, supportive, and positive influences. That alone can really bring down your stress levels. And if you need more help with overcoming stress and cortisol addiction and want to get your physical and mental health back on track, then you can book a free clarity call with me using the link below in the description so we can discuss how it can help you. And other than that, tell me in the comments, what's one thing from this list that you're going to try first? Drop it in the comments and let's support each other on this journey away from stress and cortisol addiction. And if you want to learn more about stress, cortisol, and nervous system, then this video is for you, so check it out next. And thank you so much for watching.